Hey, all you guys and gals out there, Wired to Fish. It's Jason from wiredtofish.com, and today we want to talk about the fall transition. And what I'm talking about, that there's a period there where the bass leave their summer haunts and they start moving towards the creeks, to where they're going to be found in the fall chasing shad. Everybody knows they go up in the creeks in the fall, but there's a period of time there where the bass kind of leave their summer ledges, their summer haunts, and they kind of get on some in-between stuff. And what I mean by that is things like flats in the mouths of bays, get into brush piles kind of leading into the creeks, points off of main bays, points off of main lake pockets, things like that. They're kind of getting in these little staging areas, but what they are, they're going to areas where the shad are really congregating, and they're kind of running up there and feeding and then running back out. This time of year, a lot of people get frustrated. They talk about turnover and things like that, but to me, this is the time of year when you really got to cover a lot of water. It's not a time when you're going to pull up on a spot and just yank them, yank them, yank them, yank them. Now, you might be able to do that with a lot of small fish, and that's kind of the case right now in Kentucky Lake. But for typically in this transition period, when you catch a good one, you're not going to catch 5 more good ones right there with it. It's just they're starting to leave those areas. They're starting to break up a little bit, and they're getting in these little wolf packs and things like that. So I think it's really about covering water. Right now, I know on Kentucky Lake, they've been biting the jig and the worm great all summer. It's been awesome fishing, having a blast. And this past Tuesday, I went out and fished a Tuesday night and didn't catch a single keeper on a worm or a jig. In fact, didn't catch any fish until I picked up a spinnerbait. And I've heard that from several guys here in the last week, that the spinnerbait bite's getting a lot better, and the other thing is a lipless rattling bait. And I think part of that's just there's so many shad in the lake this time of year. They get to that 2, 3, 4 inch size at the end of summer, and they get into just these massive schools, and it's hard to differentiate a bait like a jig or a worm when the bass is laying there and he's got 10,000 shad there with him. You really need a bait that makes a lot of noise, makes a commotion. These are two of the best, I think, this time of year. Whether you're fishing on a 10 feet deep spot, a 20 foot deep spot, or a 1 foot deep spot, I just think you've got to have a bait that shows itself to the shad or to the bass, because there's so many shad there with them. Two of my favorites, obviously the spinnerbait. It's a staple, and a lot of people don't throw it anymore, which is kind of surprising to me. But the fall, I think, is absolutely the best time to throw a spinnerbait. And this is a Strike King Red Eye Shad. All I ever threw was a rattle trap, maybe a Cordell spot every now and again, but this is kind of really taken over for my lipless crankbaits. It's a good compact size. I throw it, basically on a crankbait rod with a little bit stiffer backbone, but and then a reel where I can throw it a mile, because again, I'm just trying to cover water. I'm throwing it up on these big, huge flats and reeling it back. It's a pretty quick pace. We'll take this Ardent reel. I can throw a 3/4 ounce red eye shad a freaking mile. So, that's just a good combo this time of year. Throw the lipless bait a while, put it down, pick up the spinnerbait, throw it a while, and just cover water. Try to hit as many of those places like that are kind of leading to where they're going in the fall, but not quite there, if that makes any sense. Anyways, I hope these tips will help you, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.